absolutely nothing. I played in Boston so many times, the history speaks for itself. But for this one time when I went to Boston for this Game 6, absolutely nothing.
In the summer of 2012, LeBron James stood at a crossroads that would either elevate his legacy or permanently tarnish it. He was 8 seasons into an NBA career defined by unprecedented expectations, overwhelming talent, and painful shortcomings. As the Miami Heat faced off against the Boston Celtics in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, LeBron's entire basketball life seemed to funnel into this one night. His team was down 3-2 in the series, and with the game being played in the hostile environment of Boston's TD Garden, everything was on the line. A loss would send the Heat home and end their season in bitter disappointment. But for LeBron, the stakes were far more personal. He was playing to protect and possibly even resurrect his legacy. A legacy that had taken a beating over the years, not just from media and fans, but from LeBron himself through his choices and performances. Coming out of high school as the chosen one, James was burdened with the weight of greatness before he had ever stepped onto an NBA court. And for much of his career, he met those expectations statistically, racking up MVPs and jaw-dropping highlights. Yet, despite the numbers, there was always something missing: the championship ring that would validate his greatness. During his years in Cleveland, LeBron carried a flawed team on his shoulders, often dragging them deep into the playoffs only to be sent home by better, deeper teams, none more formidable or frustrating than the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, led by the iconic trio of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, repeatedly stood in his way, symbolizing everything LeBron's Cavaliers weren't: experienced, balanced, and built to win now. After several painful playoff exits at their hands, and with mounting pressure to deliver, LeBron made a seismic move in 2010 that shook the foundation of the NBA. He announced on national television during The Decision that he would be leaving Cleveland to take his talents to South Beach and join forces with fellow All-Stars Dwyane Wade and Bosh in Miami. The move was met with fierce criticism. He was accused of ducking competition, of needing help to do what other greats had done on their own, and of abandoning his hometown for an easier path to glory. LeBron embraced the villain role that season, only to have it blow up in his face in the 2011 NBA Finals. There, despite being the heavy favorites against the underdog Dallas Mavericks, the Heat lost the series, and LeBron was notably passive and ineffective in crucial moments. He averaged just 17.8 points per game and disappeared in the fourth quarters. For a player of his stature, the performance was a disaster, a public unraveling that brought his mental toughness and clutch gene into question. The loss was humiliating, not just because of the result, but because of how he played. It became a defining low point in his career. Fast forward to 2012, and LeBron found himself once again staring down the Celtics, the team that had caused him so much pain in Cleveland. But this time, he had a stronger supporting cast, a better coach, and the hard-earned scars of past failure pushing him forward. Still, the series hadn't gone as planned. After taking a 2-0 lead, Miami dropped 3 of the next 4 games. Now, down 3-2 and heading into Boston for Game 6, the pressure wasn't just on, it was suffocating. The basketball world watched, waited, and wondered if this would be the end of LeBron's dreams of being a champion. Would he falter again under the bright lights? Would he once more let the moment overwhelm him? The headlines were already being written. A loss would mean 2 straight seasons of disappointment in Miami. And for LeBron, a decade-long narrative of being unable to deliver in the biggest moments would cement itself permanently. The critics were ready to pounce. Another early exit, especially to the same Celtics he left Cleveland to escape, would confirm every doubt and criticism that had trailed him for years. But on June 7th, 2012, in the heart of enemy territory, LeBron James authored one of the most iconic performances in NBA history, a game that would alter the course of his legacy forever. From the opening tip, he was locked in, laser-focused, and completely unbothered by the noise around him. His eyes were cold, his demeanor stoic, and his body language screamed of a man who had had enough. Enough of the talk, the judgment, the narrative. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't barking. He wasn't celebrating. He was just executing with ruthless precision. LeBron poured in 45 points on an astonishing 19 of 26 shooting from the field, while adding 15 rebounds and 5 assists. Every shot seemed deliberate, every move calculated. He hit fadeaways, attacked the rim, knocked down mid-range jumpers, and controlled the game from start to finish. It wasn't just about scoring, though. His presence was suffocating on defense, his energy contagious, his leadership undeniable.
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
Entering TD Garden on June 7, 2012, LeBron James wasn't just stepping into another basketball arena. He was walking into a building that held a deep, painful significance in the story of his career. A place etched with disappointment, frustration, and unfulfilled potential. This wasn't just a Game 6. It was a return to the site of some of the most bitter moments of his basketball life. A familiar battleground where past scars lingered like shadows. 4 years earlier, in 2008, LeBron had been in that very building for a decisive Game 7 clash between his Cleveland Cavaliers and the newly formed Boston Celtics Big Three of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. It was a battle between a one-man army and a championship-ready machine. Despite the overwhelming odds, LeBron nearly willed his team to victory with a stunning 45-point performance that put his full arsenal of skills on display. He was electric, fearless, and unstoppable. But it wasn't enough. The Celtics eked out the win, and just 2 weeks later, they were crowned NBA champions. For LeBron, it was another crushing defeat, one that came not because he failed to perform, but because he lacked the help necessary to conquer such a dominant opponent. And yet, even as he carried Cleveland to a finals appearance in 2007 and followed that with a strong 2008 playoff run, the following years would only compound the heartbreak. In 2009, he returned to the Eastern Conference Finals only to be eliminated by the Orlando Magic. In 2010, everything seemed to be lining up for a breakthrough. The Cavaliers won 61 games. LeBron was the back-to-back league MVP, and all signs pointed toward a long-awaited championship run. Revenge, many thought, would be delivered in the second round against the aging Celtics. But what followed shocked the NBA world. Despite holding the number 1 seed, the Cavaliers were upset by the 4th-seeded Celtics in 6 games, culminating in a now infamous Game 5 at home, where LeBron looked disengaged, frustrated, and unlike the player who had so often carried the team on his back. That loss, once again delivered by Boston, sent shockwaves through the league. Not just because Cleveland was ousted, but because of the way it happened. LeBron, the once invincible engine of the franchise, appeared to hit a wall. Critics accused him of quitting on his team, of mentally checking out amid the speculation surrounding his upcoming free agency. The media picked apart every gesture, every shot, every look on his face, suggesting that he had already begun to emotionally distance himself from Cleveland. Whether those accusations were true or not, the consequences were real. That Game 6 loss wasn't just a playoff defeat. It was the final straw in a relationship that had already begun to fray under the pressure of unmet expectations and mounting criticism. Just weeks later, LeBron stunned the sports world with his televised announcement on the decision, revealing that he would be leaving Cleveland to join Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. It was a move designed to escape the pain and limitations he had faced in Cleveland, but it came with a heavy price. He was vilified for abandoning his hometown, for chasing titles the easy way, and for joining forces with other stars rather than beating them. But the ghosts of TD Garden didn't fade just because LeBron changed cities. If anything, they loomed even larger. In Miami, the pressure skyrocketed. No longer the beloved hometown hero, LeBron became a target, a villain, expected not just to win, but to dominate. Anything less than a championship was seen as a failure. And when the Heat lost in the 2011 NBA Finals to the Dallas Mavericks, despite being heavy favorites, LeBron's critics only grew louder. That loss stung, perhaps even more than the ones in Cleveland, because it wasn't about lack of help anymore. It was about LeBron's own performance. He faded in the biggest moments, failed to assert himself, and let the opportunity for a first ring slip away. So, when 2012 rolled around and Miami once again found themselves in a battle with the Celtics in the conference finals, everything came full circle. LeBron was older now, more seasoned, and yet still without a championship. And with the series slipping away, Miami down 3-2 and returning to Boston for a do-or-die Game 6, it felt eerily familiar. Another season was on the brink, and the ghosts of past failures were rising to meet him once again. TD Garden was more than a venue that night. It was a symbol of everything that had gone wrong in LeBron's pursuit of greatness. It was where championship dreams had ended, where questions had begun, where the perception of him as a player who couldn't close had taken root.
Wade, James for the lead. James over Pierce. That might be the dagger.
You're the Celtics, you never